So BTC is floating around 96K. We got a massive week ahead of us, but I'm talking about an altcoin today that is gearing up for a mega potential squeeze here, guys. So we're going to talk about that. I've got loads of setups for you as well on these altcoins. I've got an indicator guru in the back. So we got so much to talk about today. Let's get right into it. Guys, and remember, as always, hit that like, hit the bell, hit the subscribe, and you know this man. He arrives every Monday. There he is, okay? The indicator legend. He's in the house. He's bringing you some things. Quickly, bullish or bearish?
A bit bullish, a little bit.
With a high-pitched voice. Ooh, suspicious. Yeah. Suspicious. Bullish or bearish?
In the middle. We'll see what the hell happens.
Come on. Fence sitters. Well, I'm a little bit bullish. Okay, I've landed into a couple of longs. I got some longs from last night's show. I got some longs from the Zoom session we did on chart hackers. I'm feeling a little bit more bullish. Okay, so that is my current positioning, but we're going to deal with Bitcoin now because I'm in a hedge Bitcoin short that I'm going to take you guys through. So, Banter Bubbles, Litecoin is awake. Top left there, plus 10%. Celestia, shitcoin, 4%. Virtual, 6%. Now, that is a trade that we started today. We started earlier today in hackers. I'm talking about virtuals as well for you. Sui at the bottom. I took that entry I gave you guys on the show yesterday. That thing is up 5%. Let's hope it's going to hold. And then a little bit of a mixed bag. I see Tower looks good. Injective I've got for you guys. If we have time, I'm going to cover it. The chart is ready for you guys. So let me know in the chats if you want some Injective, and then we can start bringing it up the list. And then Chaos is obviously talking about tons of indicated things for us as well. Okay, let's go. Let's talk BTC. Why did I jump into a hedge BTC short? Well, it's as simple as this. We're using the reaction zones once again. So nothing new, not reinventing the wheel. We see Bitcoin pushing into a big zone. What are our options? We can take profit on longs, or we can start looking at potential rejection zones, shorts, those types of things. So why is this interesting to me? So we've seen multiple touches in the zone. That was on Wednesday. 1, 2, 3. We had our fourth tap into our 99K major resistance band. That is obviously an issue for us now. You can see every time we hit that, we get rejected. But I'm getting excited for the day that we actually do break this 99K, because guys, this is going to give us nice support later on. So just be patient. We're knocking on the door. And I know one of our hackers members at the moment, one of our hackers traders, is looking at a potential scalp Bitcoin reversal long coming up shortly. But that is absolute degen stuff. That is scalper stuff that he is looking at the moment. But in terms of BTC, 99K, that's our danger zone. In terms of the 2 hour, that is turning over a little bit. So potentially bearish over there for us on Bitcoin. And then in terms of major support, we're going to use 95,500 again. Now, last night I said to you guys on the show, I said, look for a little dip here, maybe a little wick through just below, and then we get that kind of bounce. Now, if we do dip into that region, we want to see the higher low. That will keep us nice and bullish there. So 95,500 is what we're looking at. Then a little bit lower down is 93,500. That is another one that we are going to pay attention to. So that is still untouched. Now, if we do go down there, it's not going to be pretty. These alts are going to get absolutely rinsed again. And then we're going to be looking at those bounces there. 93,500, 93,600 is what we're going to be playing at. So right now, guys, what you want really is bulls. Step in, break these levels here. Sure, get a rejection. The real test, that is what we want to hold. 98, 99K, that is where the action is for me. That is where these alts start flying again, and that is where things start popping off. PMG says, long ASF, big balls shoving down the bear's throats, or I'm liquidated. Well, I like a man with conviction. I must say, I like that. I appreciate that man, PMG George there. Okay, let's go. So now you know what we're looking at BTC, 99K, big resistance. If we pop higher, you can see I've drawn a rejection zone there, 100,000. Look out for that rejection at 100K. You can see why it's a problem. That will be a full wick fill there for us. So look out at that region. If we pop higher, all those updates are sitting in chart hackers for you guys. Now, let's get into some action, and then we got tons to talk about. But I just love I love this when you see these shitcoins, and I'm talking about shitcoins that have disappeared off the face of the earth, and we're going to cover a handful of those as well just now. But I just love this, the white paper versus the actual coin and the product. I really enjoyed this video. I thought I needed to share this with you guys.
My friends and I are raising money for a charity. Can you do it? Oh, you're so sweet. Okay, let's get washing.
Such a banger. And this is exactly why some of these tokens aren't surviving. I'm going to show you a couple of coins that we spoke about like years ago, and you're going to remember them now when I show you. You're going to say, "Fuck, what happened to those things?" And who's feeling like this? And this guy looks exactly like me. I mean, this is me without a cap. I bet you guys didn't know. You don't know what I've got under here. Do you think there's hair under there? Well, it's a lie because there's not. Look at this. This is me, okay? At the moment, feeling, I'm not selling. I can't sell. I'm 80% down. Feeling the pressure. Guys, I mean, imagine that Popcat and the Brett and all these things that we've been holding down to zero. I see James nodding his head. Can you really sell now, though? You can't. I mean,
what's the use? You might as well wait to see if you get something out of the damn thing. Why sell for zero?
You might as well wait. You might as well wait. So that is basically me. I mean, it's a picture of me right now. But this guy knows how to buy. Okay, so we can't sell, but this man knows how to buy. $740 million. Imagine having that type of money and this beautiful smile. Look at that. I'd also smile like that if I kept buying BTC. 740 million from 𝗙𝗪𝗟𝗟. He's back in the mix. And I wanted to remind you guys this week, why is this week so big? We've got CPI, we've got PPI coming Wednesday, Thursday, and we know today that Trump's special reciprocal tariff announcement has come and it's gone. Maybe James has a bit more info, but he basically was going to announce 25% tariffs on steel and aluminium today, if I'm not mistaken. That is now pushing through. And then we saw a couple of things coming out of China. China will impose tariffs of 15% on US energy and vehicles. Now, tell me something. Other than Tesla, what else are the Chinese buying? Don't they make a lot of their own cars there? Do they use American cars?
Well, no, because a lot of the American cars don't fit on their streets even, right? And
So it's Tesla, right?
It's
I mean,
China.
They
The problem with all the tariffs here is that, I mean, the U.S., Trump wants to manufacture everything, but all the parts come from China. That's where the majority of them are manufactured. Even if they assemble in America, the parts come from China. So the tariffs will hurt the U.S. a lot.
Enjoy your own tariffs. It's like, it's weird. Okay. So let's take a look at Tesla. We know they send a lot of cars there. Now, I'm looking at Tesla on the weekly chart for you guys. And remember, if you're looking at a stock chart, a weekly stock chart is more like, it might be like an 8-hour crypto chart because the crypto chart runs 24/7. It's 24-hour market. The stock market only runs, a few hours a day. Then they all take a break and everyone goes home. They're not like absolute degens yet because they are going to make the stock market 24/7 at some point. But if you take a look at Tesla, I'm looking at this thing on the weekly. Now, you can see it's sitting on some major support at the moment for us. That's 355. It is an interesting zone. You can see we've got weekly confluence here with some of these levels. I've got the 100-day MA at around about 330. So we know that in terms of a reaction or a bounce zone here, Tesla, it makes sense at about 350. But in terms of the weekly, this thing is looking a little bit heavy. So that tells us if we do get bounces, it just might be something like that, to the downside until this weekly starts playing out for us. So that is, currently what I'm watching Tesla, 355 down to 330. Then if you look at this thing on the daily, which is like going into, let's say, a crypto 4-hour chart, you can see the things look slightly better. So they are kind of teeing up for some kind of bounce here for us. If we can just get this oscillator through here when you're absolutely ready. There it comes. Okay, well, when the oscillator decides to make an appearance, I'm going to show you. The daily oscillator is teeing up a little bit more bullish on Tesla. So that is telling us there could be something brewing here. This is a level you want to be watching on Tesla. So 355 down to our 100-day MA. That's around about 330, looking for a reaction there. So when the oscillator appears, it's probably going to appear during the show. I'm going to bring it out for you guys, and I'll show you we are getting some daily reversals there. So we're going to see how that plays out there on Tesla. And then resistance, what you need to watch, 402, that is going to be your danger zone. So if there is a pop on Tesla, 402 is what you're looking at. 330 is going to be your support. Now, in terms of the S&P, I see it's pumping today. And there's a couple of things happening. Now, Thomas is talking about not QE. Okay, now, I mean, this is really an economist's dream, all the stuff that is going on now. We spoke about quantitative tightening coming to an end in June. Now, Thomas is talking about not QE. So basically, the current government issue is, well, they've got a couple of problems, but the US government will soon begin a drawdown of the Treasury General account. This could mean a liquidity injection totaling up to $830 billion. Functionally, this is similar to quantitative easing. Maybe the market is enjoying this. Maybe the market is responding. If you want to read what he has to say, you can follow this guy, Thomas, on the markets. He's written a big thread. If you guys want to improve your knowledge and understanding of all these types of things, this is for you. Okay, he's going to give you a nice little explanation as to what is going on. Remember, it's always good to understand the macro environment. Obviously, we trade these charts, we trade these reaction zones, but it's always handy to know what is going on in the background. And what is aluminum? I love that. Okay, so let's talk S&P. So the S&P is looking pretty decent today, nice and green, and we've had a strong bounce. We looked at our support yesterday on the show. We looked at it on Friday. The 6,000 level was always going to be a reaction zone for us, and nice move now. So far, so good on the S&P. Things are looking okay. So we do have a downtrend in play. Let's see what happens when we get into those types of levels. If we start popping, we can get a little bit more excited. But right now, let's call it a nice push for today. Could help sentiment in the market. Maybe Bitcoin does eventually wake up later on and we do get a pop through resistance. Let's see if that plays out. The danger, obviously, of a super bullish Monday is what we have seen in the past, and what we talk about quite a lot in Hackers is if you get a bearish Monday, you tend to get more of a bullish finish to the week. If you get a bullish Monday, you sometimes get a bit of a sell-off in the week. So it's not always the best thing on a Monday to start ripping. So part of me wants Bitcoin just to stay in its box for now, and then we deal with a little bit of it later. But in terms of Banter Bubbles, guys, you know we can track stocks now, and this is obviously a handy tool for any stock traders out there. So you can jump onto Banter Bubbles. There is a link in the show description for Banter Bubbles, because there is an app available as well if you guys want that on your phone. So you can see McDonald's always staring us in the face when the market's red. Why is McDonald's always green? 4% up today, making me feel pressure. I'm just looking at that MACD's there. Okay, let's go. Bitcoin on the daily. Things are no real changes. Okay, no real changes. Our big levels. There's two main levels you need to worry about for Bitcoin at the moment. For me, it's the 9,900K. That is our resistance band. You can see no changes here. That is a big resistance band for us. And then in terms of support, 95K. So 99, 100, and 95K. That is your range that you are playing in at the moment. Let's see how this plays out. I do like this daily, and chaos is going to be all over this thing. Look at this daily oscillator here. We're printing some divergence here. We're printing a reversal. Things are looking a little bit more interesting for Bitcoin on the daily chart. So maybe there is a possibility that because of that daily print, maybe we do hold these 95s. Maybe we don't come back and fill that entire wick. And that should start playing into this potential squeeze that I was talking about at the start of my show, or on the tile as well. And I'm dying to know what you guys think it is. I'm running a poll here at the moment. I said, which altcoin is the squeezy one? And I think, yeah, there's some smart people here, or maybe you guys just know me too well. But 30% are calling Sol, and 39% are calling ETH. It's interesting voting. Did you expect that, Chaos?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's about right.
39% calling ETH.
Yeah.
Maybe they know me.
They know us. They know us well now. They know us well.
Guys. Okay. It's ETH. Okay, it's ETH, but I'm going to explain why. Okay, you can understand why this is important. Thoughts on the effect of CPI data released on Wednesday, says Noel. Choppy, volatile, look for action. If we pump into CPI, we're looking for sells. If we dump into CPI, we're looking for longs. That's a process that I like to follow. It works a lot of the time. So pretty much that is what we're going to go for, Noel. Okay, let's go. So BTC, you've got your two main levels on the daily. That's interesting. Then you can see our lower time frame levels. You know what is potting there. Then let's talk about some of these altcoins that have disappeared. Now we're going to look at some alts now, but many chains from past years' cycles are now completely dead. Remember Harmony? Do you remember that thing? It's now $1.7 million. It's 99.9%. I had no idea. What was the tick on? We used to trade this thing.
I can't even remember, but I know I've still got some laying about somewhere. That's not good news.
I had no idea. Moon River. I remember that.
Yeah. Remember that one. Shit.
$2 million market cap. It's small dip. 99.3% down. Little dippy there. Canto, I don't know. Evmos, I don't know. Polygon. Polygon, TVL, also down 92%. 9.9 billion TVL in 21. Now it's 770 million currently. I always knew it was a shitcoin. I always knew it.
Great. Crazy.
Anyway, I was amazed by this harmony. I actually can't believe it. So let's talk total 3 here. And you can see total 3 is my shitcoinery. Okay, so it's no Bitcoin, it's no ETH, it's the altcoin market. So you can see I pulled this up on the daily, and I know we've been following this thing on the weekly a hell of a lot. But in terms of the daily, you can see what is going on here. We are sitting at a major resistance band, so there is no change just yet. We've got Bitcoin sitting at 99 to 100K resistance. We've got total 3 sitting at massive resistance here at this 900 or call it the 900 billion mark. And we do have our daily starting to print a reversal. Where have we seen that? Oh, look, we've got BTC on the daily starting to print a reversal. So there's a couple of things that are starting to lean in our favor at the moment, but we cannot get complacent just yet. And the reason being is both of these present resistance. Both of these are actually areas where you would look for a rejection. So if we didn't have the oscillator as a guide, we'd be looking at this thing saying, okay, well, here's another rejection zone. Look for that pullback. Okay, so we are still in that territory, and we need to understand. So if we are playing these longs and we are playing these types of things, we need to have or exercise a little bit of caution, understanding where we are in the context of the market. Okay, so still at resistance. Is there concurrence? Because I know these oscillators are looking pretty good on the daily.
Yeah.
There's so many.
With Bitcoin, though, I'm waiting for cash flow to actually make a little bit of a turn up as well. On the slightly lower time frame, maybe the 12-hour, I'm a little bit more confident. There's more things facing up. So, yeah, I think it's coming.
Okay. We're going to bring Chaos on for Sol. We're going to bring him on for Sui. We're going to bring him on for Hype. Did I say Sui? No, I said Hype.
Yeah.
And Doge. Okay.
Yep.
And he's also doing a giveaway today. Okay. He's got a giveaway coming for you guys. He's going to pick James and Chaos. They're going to pick two people in the chats. Are you having fun in the chats there, James?
Just the comments, yeah. Yourself. Plan, trade, clench cheeks, hit buy.
I love that. Okay. These guys are giving away 2 Bitfundeds today to people in the chats. Okay. So behave yourselves well in the chats and have a good time in the chats, and they're going to select the best 2. Okay. So you just have a bit of fun there, guys, and keep the action rolling through. So total 3. Here we go. You know what's spotting now. The next one we obviously need to watch is dominance. This tells us, are the altcoins getting favored? Is Bitcoin getting favored? And you can see dominance is now rolling over for us. Nice red candle today. That's always a good start. And in terms of, what we need to look out for, if there is a dominance push later on today, we need that rejection at 62.2%. That is a must reject zone for these alts to hold on to the gains that they have made today. Now, we know these alts have moved up today from that Asia session. If they are going to hold on, we need that rejection at 62.2. We don't want to go above that. We need that to fall lower. If they do just keep drifting lower, well, that is going to be such a nice ride. That move there is going to pump these alts very nicely. Okay, but we got to get through 61%. So let's break through 61%. Then we can start getting euphoric. Right now, we're seeing, dominance dropping like 0.5% here from 61.5 to 61. That's nice. We'll get a little bit of greenery if it does, but be super careful when we do hit the support. So just look out. Make sure this chart is in front of you when and if the alts start running. So 61% is what you're going to be watching. Now, let's talk squeezy things. And you guys aren't going to believe this information. Immortal says, the bros have built the largest ETH short position in history. Imagine the largest short ETH position in history while the spot ETF inflows look like this. Okay, look at this chart. We know that ETH inflows have been outperforming the Bitcoin inflows over the last week or 2. We know World Liberty Foundation has been buying. We know BlackRock has been buying ETH. Surely at some point they phone the market makers and they say, pump it. And then they send it and retail is going to climb in. Now, what happens if all the bros, ETH short positions reach largest in history? Okay, what happens if these guys need to start closing their positions? So that's what a short squeeze is. So if you need to start closing your short positions, you have to buy them back, and you end up buying them back higher and higher and higher. And Paul says, how's the rune short? Paul, is this coding? What is going on? Is Rune pumping? If it is, let me know. We'll pull up that chart because I'm still sitting in that short. Maybe I'm getting rinsed. Let's see. BlackRock is our liquidity, says Kip. So guys, there's a potential proper squeeze coming on ETH. Okay, the minute this market starts popping off, things are going to get interesting. Now I know Chaos has got an ETH chart today, and if you're going to give us an entry, I'm going to take a position here, boss. So let's see what is going on. I just want to cover the basics for you guys first. Look at the 5-day chart. I want to give you the dangers and I want to give you the positives. Okay, so your risk, what is your risk here of taking an ETH position? Your risk is losing this whole wick for the wick fill. Now, last time we had a wick on ETH, okay, we saw a wick like that on the weekly chart or the 3-day chart. They came back and they filled the wick. You can see we've had wicks before and they come back and they fill these wicks. Now, if you back test this, it happens time and time again. So we do have a wick problem where they can come and send you lower. So that is your downside risk. And that downside risk is going to be down to 2,100, 2,000, those types of levels. So that is your, I wouldn't say your worst case scenario, but it is quite a bad case scenario if that happens. Okay. So that is what we're going to be watching. And then upside resistance, you can see clearly on this 5-day chart, 2.8 to 2.9. That is your danger zone. Chaos, talk to me. What is going on with ETH?
Okay. I've got a chart for you if you want to bring it up.
I do indeed.
Lovely. Okay. So I've just zoomed out for a second. I'll take us in just now. Just to show you guys the sort of price action that we've been basically looking at since, October 23. It's a long old period of time. Technically, well, we are still in some sort of uptrend. Okay, so now that we've taken a look at that, I'm going to take you right up to today. So I've currently got the range of 4 grand down to this wick at 2.1. Okay. And what essentially we're looking to do is try and find a good trade within the range. Okay, so the thing that looks good for me at the moment, if I take you right in close, we've obviously got some bullish divergence, which is printed. We've had a cash flow that's been very negative, and actually we're starting to face up. And as well as that, the RSIs are starting to face up. We've got some volume coming in as well. So this, hopefully, I want to say hopefully, I can't say definitely with Ethereum, it may never move again. But hopefully this is a sustainable move.
Okay. Are you long? Are we long?
I am long.
Okay.
So I'm long. Let me take you into the price action. My entry. Yeah, can you see that?
Yeah, go more. There we go. Okay.
So my entry, okay, wants to be somewhere around this. Listen, this trend line would be ideal. As close to the trend line as you get, okay, which is starting at 2.5, realistically, through this wick, up to 2.6. I would say that we do visit this again. I'd be keen to hold out as long as possible. And the thing is, Dylan, this is an easy trade to take because in validation, the closer to the trend line you get, I'm not being funny, even that's a 1% move, it's nothing. So you could probably afford a low leverage trade rather than spot. The danger you've got, once again, is this wick. So, you may wish to buy a spot here and stomach the loss and then work your way up towards TP1, which is around 3.3.
Okay, so in terms of entries, 2,550 you're looking at, and your exit plan. So guys, what's the, can you zoom in there for everybody?
Sure.
And then your exit plan is close under?
Realistically, excuse me, guys, 2,500 for a round figure. Let's take you nice and close. This wick is down to 2.524. You can give yourself a little bit of breathing room. The further down this wick you get your entry, the lower risk you have,
Okay. Nice. So guys, we're going to put this chart in Chart Hacker. So all these charts that you see here go straight into Chart Hackers. If you're looking for the detail on the stuff, it's going to be dropped in the live show charts for you guys. Get that man some water. Who needs some water?
Sorry, guys.
So guys, that's the ETH plan, and I'm trying to load the Rune chart while we're speaking. Hopefully, we'll get that now. And then just in terms of we looked at ETH yesterday, and we looked at a couple of levels, and this ties in quite nicely with what Chaos is talking about here. And where's your? So just tell me that exit number. Close under?
The stop loss, realistically, 2.5 would be a good round number. 2.509, something like that.
Yeah. So you can see, I mean, you can see the low that got pinged yesterday. Okay, that was on one of our levels there. So if you close under that low, it makes 100% sense that this thing might be going a little bit lower. Okay, so that ties in quite nicely with ETH. Just remember, there are some big levels lower down. So, you know, you don't want to get yourself chopped up too much. But in terms of levels that you want to watch there, that 2.5 looks interesting, 2.4 looks interesting. And then we do have this massive wick to the downside. So just protect yourselves. If we start getting ugly here, don't put yourself under pressure. Now, Michael says Rune looks dead. So what is happening with Rune? And I actually covered it in my update today on in Chart Hackers. So every Monday, I update the charts. I update the higher time frame charts. And you can see what's typically happening now. And unless they're sorting out their stuff fundamentally, if you guys can check if there's some kind of announcement out there, but there's typically now a squeeze going on. It's a heavily shorted token. Okay, so I'm still sitting in that short. I'm probably round about my entry. That's pretty much where I am at the moment. The problem comes with Rune. If you're trying to short it too much, what happens here is that candle can get taken out pretty quickly before your next short opportunity. Remember, if you're shorting Rune, you're not the only one trying to short it. We all know fundamentally there's a problem there. So every time I've had a big pump out of that thing, I just keep adding little bits, and I'm letting it play out now. But if there is some kind of bullish news on it, like they fix their ecosystem or they're fixing the problems, then this thing can rip. This thing can really rip. But until then, for me, that is a squeeze. Remember, there are perps available. The market makers know this thing is heavily shorted, and they're just going to play games up, down, up, down, up, down. So if you want to play those games, just be careful, understand what you are getting involved in, and lots of people trying to short it, and that means lots of squeeze opportunities. Okay, let's go into a couple of other things. Let's go Solana, and that is why Chaos is here. And this one I'll obviously talk about heavily. I'm still in quite a big position on the Sol and naturally looking for higher things. So far, so good. I've been talking about these levels now for the last week or so that we've been watching. And again, for me, big areas, 187, 182, 174. Chaos, why did this get your attention today? Why is this interesting to you?
Yeah, I'll show you if you want to bring up the screen.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited.
So listen, first thing again, divergence is playing out. We've got an uptick. This is on the daily, by the way, guys. You know, when we're looking at daily, it's hopefully a little bit more reliable. You can never be sure in this market. We've got the RSI, which has obviously had an uptick. Now, the cash flow typically goes in a wave. Sorry, that's supposed to be a curve. This is not a good mouse. And then it waves down and then it comes up again. What we've got going on now is we've got the signs that we're actually going to start to come up. So between this, and obviously looking at the fact that we are in a bit of a trend, to be fair, since back in August, okay, and we're close to the line. This, to me, if you're planning to long this thing, this is as good a place as ever. I'm already in a long from 192. I would look, guys, to try and enter around 193 to 195, and that would look more of a dip back into this zone. Now, again, Dylan's absolutely spot on. The danger zone I'm concerned about is 178, is when we start to sort of dig into this order block. If we come into the block, the lower side of the block's down at 168. We have been talking about this in Chart Hackers for a good week or two now. There's an awful lot of liquidity down at these levels, okay? So, you know, never say never, but to me, this is a nice long trend. A visit here would make sense. So my entry would be 192, 193, up to 195, which is pretty close. And then I'd be looking to probably take profit around, if you get this high, the 230 to 235 mark. Okay, banger. So look, guys, you can see that liquidity to the downside. How do we get there? We get there to the downside if Bitcoin starts losing major levels. I'm talking Bitcoin loses 91, dominance starts pumping, the alts start absolutely shitting the bed again, okay? So that is when that cuts. If Bitcoin is holding 91, for example, you should be okay on Sol, at least to that first lower level there, or at least to holding the lows from the dumps. So that's for me around the 174, those types of levels. If Bitcoin starts dropping below that 91, guys, batten down the hatches, okay? Because it's going to get disgusting again. Okay, so just be prepped for those levels. Understand what you are dealing with.
And all these charts, remember, they are in Chart Hackers. What is Chart Hackers? Well, it's a trading community, okay, of absolute legends. You can follow us on Twitter, and here it is at the Chart Hackers. You can see we're dropping alpha for you guys. We're dropping trade setups. We're dropping tons of jokes, okay? It's all happening here for you guys. Here's an account for you to follow, okay? At the Chart Hackers. Give us a follow there, and you can join the Chart Hackers by jumping in the show description, as well as everything that I talk about is under the show description for you guys. So you can just select the menu there and jump into all these things that I am talking about. Okay, let's go. What else is interesting? 𝗬𝗎. Now, I took that entry from last night that I gave you guys, and it's an entry we've been waiting for a while. And did I do 𝗬𝗎 on the show, or was it on Hackers? Last night. I actually can't remember.
Hackers, yeah.
It was Hackers and on the show. Okay, look, we're going to look at the chart now again. And 𝗬𝗎 reaches 60 billion total DEX volume, up 23% in the past 30 days. So 𝗬𝗎's waking up again. What does this tell you? If 𝗬𝗎's waking up, you need to be looking at something called Cetus. Okay, that is a DEX on 𝗬𝗎, and that is why these are fun to trade together. They kind of sing from the same hymn sheet. Okay, so 𝗬𝗎 obviously making sense. Mags are saying, 𝗬𝗎, it's time. Now, I love these bullish posts and things like that. It's nice. Okay, and I'm sitting in Cetus here at the bottom, and DJ and Dave gave us that beautiful Cetus entry on my show, I think last week sometime, maybe Thursday, Friday. I got ACH. Dave gave us that entry yesterday on the show, ACH. Brett, I'm flirting with a Brett position on a breakout. Bitcoin, you can see I've got a hedge short running. Hype, no reason to close this hype short yet. I know some of the guys are gearing up long, but I've been in the short as a hedge play. I'll show you the hype chart. I'll explain why I'm not exiting this thing yet. And then you can see I've got 𝗬𝗎. I started building a position when we dipped into that entry zone. I've now added a little bit to that thing, trying to grow a little bit of size. If 𝗬𝗎's going to take off, well, I want a piece of it. So that is the current game plan there. And then in terms of the entry, we were looking for that dip into these lower bands or this lower region, and we moved quite nicely into that. Okay, we had a second bite yesterday, and a nice little move there. You can see our oscillators started turning up as well, so things looking a little bit better there for 𝗬𝗎. But in terms of, in general, I would say it's been a little bit slow compared to some of the other tokens. Maybe it's time for a revival. Maybe it's time for a little bit of action. I don't know your thoughts on 𝗬𝗎. Have we lost interest in this thing on Twitter?
I'm very interested in this on the 8 hour. If you just bring the 8 hour up, it's on your screen. If you just click on the 8 there, you'll see, look at the oscillator. Look what's just pinged on this candle. It's just gone green. There's plenty of divergence there. Oh, that's my screen. I'm just thinking that looks very familiar.
Yeah.
I thought I was looking at your one. So what's really interesting, we've just there. Look, check this out, guys. If you want to know what early is like, that there is, if you look at the last time when we did this, was this candle to the peak was here. That turned out to be somewhere in the region of 145% move. So you could potentially.
What are you comparing that to?
So I'm just comparing this. So if you look at the cash flow wave, which runs behind the oscillator,
okay.
We've just, I'll show you again. We've just literally crossed the horizon, and we're just starting to turn green now. It could be like this, where it's a false alarm. However, the RSI is nice and low. We've got a long way to go. This should, in theory, turn green, and we can get a repeat of this. So you could be really early, guys. But we'll have to wait and see what the candles do, eh?
So, okay, that's good info. So in terms of levels and things like that, let's what's Alexander doing? I'm listening while I'm working out. Bad form and trying to look at the charts. Yeah, it's not a good idea, bro. It's not a good idea, but we all do that. Okay, we all do that in the gym. Okay, just in terms of 𝗬𝗎 levels, if you want to play safe, okay, your safest level now is going to be a close under 2.83. You can see this region over here, why this made sense. Okay, we had a nice grouping of candles there, and they've come and they filled that wick over there. Okay, so that makes sense. Once again, we are riding that level. So 2.83, that is a close under that region. That is your safest play. Then in terms of next bounce zones or next reaction zones, it's 2.62. And then you are looking at these lows, which is going to be 2.34. So that is what you need to pay attention to. Watch those levels closely. You can see bigger picture, 8 hour, 12 hour looking nice, looking more bullish. So that is cool. And what do we do if 𝗬𝗎 starts riding up? Well, you've got to understand where your danger zones are. And you can see right now on lower time frame, SUI is actually rejecting off the VWAP right now. Okay, so there is a little bit of pressure there, but in terms of rejection zones or bigger, higher probability rejection zones, 3.52, look out for that. And then there's a possible short zone here at 4.22. Now, the reason I'm saying it's higher is because I want this lower time frame or the higher time frame, the 8 hour, the 4 hour, I want those to play out. I want them to get to overbought levels, and that may or may not be in that area. So we'll deal with it when we get there. So let this thing carry on riding. Once we get there, we'll assess the oscillators and we'll decide if this is a reasonable short area. So if SUI does start kicking off, just be careful, 4.22. Keep your eyes on the show. I'll make sure that I cover it if we are in those regions, and then we can decide if it makes sense that this thing may or may not roll over. But that for me for now, 4.23 is a danger zone, 4.22. So I would be careful if this thing does start ripping. And then big support, you've got your levels, you know what to look out for now. And hopefully some of you guys got those entries. Remember, the best way to do this is you pick your favorite tokens on the show. Obviously, don't try and trade all of them. It can get super chaotic. So pick your favorites. Sometimes you got to wait for the entries. Sometimes the entries never happen. Sometimes it goes below the entries and you get stopped out. But what you need to do is take a look at these charts, pick your favorites, write notes on those areas, and then strike at those levels. And that more often than not is going to serve you guys well. So just make sure you do the work and then you are patient afterwards. Let them come to you. Don't rush into these things. They come to you eventually. And you can see the SUI just played out beautifully here and dipped into that zone for us. Okay, so nice little banger there on SUI. And then just to cover hype for you guys, and Chaos is actually leaning long now on hype, so we're going to get his info. I know a lot of other guys are also trying to long hype at the moment, and just in terms of what I'm doing and my current trade, it's a hedge play for me, and I still don't have a reason to exit this thing. So you'll remember we traded this head and shoulders, looking quite bearish there. We lost the levels, pushed back up. It all made sense, okay? And now we are pushing back into our resistance band. So for me, closing this now is closing a short at resistance, and I'd rather just let this thing play out, because if we do have a dump in the market, hype should carry on falling over, and then they should send it to this 2021 region for me. But until then, when can I flip bullish? When do I close my hype short? So for me, it's going to be a candle close above these levels here. So you can see there is a bit of action above that. So for me, it keeps dripping a little bit lower, but I'd say a solid candle close above 24, 24.5, those types of levels there, then we're going to start saying, okay, maybe it's time to cut this hype short that I'm sitting in, and maybe it's time to look at something a little bit better. Now, in terms of the 2 hour, you can see this thing is turning over, so I also don't want to rush into it. I want this 2 hour to drift lower. Maybe that happens with hype falling over a little bit, but that is my current view. You can see the quantum reactor is undecided at the moment. It's turning purple. It's kind of saying, it doesn't know what it wants to do just yet. Chaos, do you have any views on this guy?
Yeah, I can show you a chart which I am now trading on hype. So I'll tell you what, listen, we've got this point of control that runs right through the middle, okay, of these two trend lines that I've drawn. I've got a red trend line for, if you like, the bearish, the downside, and a green bullish trend line. And I'll tell you what I'm doing. I am literally waiting for that to go long, or I'm waiting for this to go short. And that is, like, I'm not entering now. If we ping this level, I'm going long, and vice versa. And that is literally what I'm doing. This should be a reasonably easy, I mean, look, this candle that's forming now looks quite bearish anyway. This may well turn over. This sort of, I know you can't see that. Let me just zoom in for you. The cash flow is firmly facing down again. It's more likely based on this and this that actually we might see that. So my entry will be in the region of 22.45, somewhere like that. And I'll literally probably just look at the size of this range. Where are we? To be honest with you, on the 10x, that's the 60% move. I will probably just play it back to the mid-range again. And I think that's my trade. For me, there's no trade right now, but the next trade is coming.
Okay, guys, there you have it. So undecided at the moment, for me, like, I'm not in a race to go long on hype. I mean, just let it do what it needs to do. And I do have, funny enough, have E&A for you. Who was asking for E&A? And I do actually have that here for you guys. We're going to talk about it in a sec. So Smart Money Detective says, Pendle is leading DeFi run in both 24 hours and last 7 days. Well, E&A is being a great project as suffering because of token unlocks. Now, Matty, one of our Chart Hackers members last night, was telling us about all the token unlocks for 𝗓𝗍, because we were looking at that as a potential bounce play again last night. And 𝗙𝗬𝗟𝗟𝗟𝗢 says, does Chart Hackers include Chart Prime Oscillator for trading view? No. If you can join Chart Hackers, then you are just part of Chart Hackers, or you can go do the accelerator course, and then you can get unlock some Chart Prime there doing the accelerator course. Remember, the accelerator course is my trading course where I put together all my TA, and then I put together a combination of Chart Prime oscillators. I teach you guys how to use that, all the other Chart Prime weapons that they have, all these cool things, including some bots and automation. It's all here in the accelerator course for you guys. So just go into the link in the show description and sign up for the course. Do the course. It's a very quick, concise, short course for you guys. You'll understand what I'm talking about. By the time you are done with it, you will get a full picture as to what I'm doing. Okay. Abe says he made some money on 𝗓𝗍, and Yumi says 𝗓𝗍 bad tokenomics. Okay, well, you can see there's tons of unlocks happening at the moment. And then in terms of Pendle, it's pretty much the most undervalued restaking token according to Altcoin Hunter. They are targeting both RWAs and BTC yields simultaneously, with annual fees hitting 70 million. Okay, so Pendle is cooking. And I've got two Pendle charts for you. One of them is the weekly, and one of them is a lower, more degen sort of setup for you guys. And you can see it's quite a nice picture. And what I want to point out to you is the potential. And this is going to take the market obviously playing ball. But the last time we saw a reversal print on the weekly for Pendle, okay, we had this beautiful pump. We had a massive 300% move. Now, we've only ever seen a reversal once on the weekly on Pendle. There it is again. Okay, they've just given it to us again. If this thing pumps and pumps to the range high, I mean, that makes sense to me. A little range trade. There could be a little bit of action in the tank for you guys. So another 100% potentially for Pendle. And then in terms of spot traders, well, you can keep it super simple. You can keep your stops under the current weekly candle. So you can keep your stops under 3. So say a close under 3, that would maybe indicate that Pendle wants to come a little bit lower. And if we use history as a guide, you can see the last time we dropped out and pumped up, we never actually came back and filled the wick. So maybe there's a possibility that Pendle doesn't come back and fill this wick. So that is potentially off the table. And the best way you can do it is a stop loss under 3, so close under 3. That is probably your safest play. Alternatively, you can look at this thing and say, okay, the market has potentially bottomed. We know dominance has potentially peaked. We know X, Y, and Z information that you have in front of you. If your bias is that the bottom might be in, then you're just going to look to ladder in to Pendle. So whatever they dish up for you, even if it's a little bit more downside, you can look to DCA into that one if that is something you want to look at. And for me, the low 1.98, that needs to hold. That's ultimately the main low that you want to hold. And if that does, I would expect at some point this range trade back to those highs. So keeping it super simple, or as simple as possible. And looks like a little range play there for us on Pendle. And then in terms of zooming in, I just want to show you guys from a degen perspective what can happen on lower time frames. Now, remember, on higher time frames, there's, you can look at something and just let it play out over a few months or whatever the story is. On lower time frame, there's always action. There's always a long, there's always shorts, there's always the stuff going on. And if that's what you like, well, here's a little degen setup for you guys. So in terms of the weekly chart and what I'm watching here, you can see our 3 level is our weekly support that I want to see hold. Then we can dive into the degen chart and we can see where is 3. Where's this 3 region that we're talking about? And you can see that is right under that order block, just over there. So you can see as support now on the 2-hour chart for Pendle, we've got some cover that's telling us that this is good support. We've got our quantum reactor, we've got our order block here, we've got our 382 fib, we've got our horizontals in play as well. So that is a big zone that you want to watch now on Pendle. And then in terms of lower time frames, you can see that is printing a reversal. So if you're trading leverage and you're trading degen types of things, that is printing a 2-hour reversal. And that tells you that this thing could, at some point, maybe they fill this wick, but at some point this thing might start drifting a little bit lower. And you just want to make sure as a degen trader that your 3 level is going to be holding. So that could be a really nice entry for you guys as well if we do come back and ping that zone. So that is something you need to watch. So in terms of support, 3 big level, and we've got backup on the weeklies as well. So that looks decent to us. And then in terms of upside, what happens with Pendle if there is a little push in the market now in the next couple of days? So the first thing you're going to look for is this trend break. You can see I've broken this down into a trend situation here. And if we do get the trend break, you most likely fill this wick. So you might get something like that where they pop and then they reject you, and then you might get a long. Okay, but where does that end for you? This is a major danger zone for me. 4.2. Now I've got the 50-day MA, I've got the 200-day MA, I've got an anchored VWAP from the highs. It's an absolute mess in this region for bulls. Okay, so that is a potential rejection zone there for you guys. If things start hotting up, look out. 4.2, that's a trouble area. When that happens, or if that happens, I will address it on my show and we'll decide if it's time for shorts and things like that. But we're going to be looking for something in those types of areas if we do get hot. And we'll be lining up the oscillators. We'll be lining everything up. But in terms of danger zones for Pendle, 4.2, that looks like trouble for me for now based on what I'm seeing. So I think we'll get a nice short there. PMG George, 𝗙𝗪𝗑𝗏, Banterson. This alt season needs to be now. I want it now. Guys, I agree. We need a week. We need 2 weeks, I think. 2-week season. Everything okay there, Chaos?
I'm absolutely died at these comments. Honestly, they're great, are they? I don't know how do you keep a straight face, man? Honestly, this guy Ryan in the chat. Look at this guy.
Look, Ryan knows if you shorting Fartcoin, it's a shot, and I'm an excellent shotter as well. So things have been going well. Ray Whelan says Fartcoin not to be sniffed at. Okay, guys, come on. Okay, let's talk ENA. Let's go. So ENA, if you want to follow token unlocks, you can go to tokenomist.ai, okay, and you can follow what is going on. You can see Athena is unlocking 7.9 million tokens. Okay, that's 0.25% of circulating supply in 1 day, 13 hours. Now you can see they've just unlocked another batch 5 days ago, and it's obviously this constant unlock that is happening, and that's what Matt was telling us last night, one of our hackers members. So we were looking at a couple of situations, and just in terms of the immense token unlocks, okay, that tells me there could be pressure, and this was one of the bounce zones we looked at yesterday. So this is just for sake of the example. I'm not giving you a long in this region. I'm just showing you this is what we were looking at last night in terms of weighing up our oscillator and weighing up certain levels when you can get a potential bounce. Now, in terms of ENA, if there is market pressure, including these unlocks, what I need you guys to do is to zoom out and start paying attention to the bigger picture. Now, this is the 3-day chart, and you can see in terms of the 3-day, this thing is looking like it wants to reverse. Now, you might get a whole mixed bag in the market. Tons of people might be shorting this thing because of the unlocks. You actually don't know what you're going to be getting out of this thing. So in terms of ENA on the oscillator, yes, that thing is turning over. I don't like the look of that, Chaos. I mean, this cash flow doesn't look amazing. That's looking a bit sad. Yeah. But in terms of potential bounce areas here, this 437 and the 3-2 zone, those are your potential big zones. Okay, those are the potential zones where you get big moves out of ENA. So keep it simple, and you don't always have to be dialed into the 1 hours. You can just zoom out, look at your bigger areas, and then play those zones if you hit them. So I'm going to put this chart in Chart Hackers for you guys. Why is Syed throwing bananas at us now? Welcome, guys. What is this local comedy here in the chats? Have we decided who's winning this stuff yet?
I'm just looking at the 8-hour on ENA, getting very excited by this trade.
I've got somebody picked. Did you grab someone from the chat there, Chaos?
I'm going to have a look right now. Do you know what? I'm going to actually go with the guy that has made me laugh the most. Go on, James. Who are you going with? Do you know?
Laura Morris. She's been very active in there, and yeah, it's nice to spread some love to the ladies too, instead of all these guys in here.
Okay, so Laura, it's Laura Morris.
Laura Morris.
Okay, Laura Morris, you need to email giveaways@cryptobanter.com. James will write it in the chat here. Giveaways@cryptobanter.com. Just mail them. Tell them you won the Bitfunded giveaway. And Chaos, who's the other one?
This dude here, I've just brought him up right now. Ryan, what a legend for absolutely making me die.
Okay, there you go, Ryan. Banger. Email, Ryan, email giveaways@cryptobanter.com. Okay, there's the email address. You are going to get a Bitfunded. Okay, there, it's coming in hot for you guys. Now, let's look at a couple of things. Here's a couple of trades that I'm involved in at the moment. One of them is Popcat. Took it off a level that we gave on the Hacker Zoom last night. There were 3 levels we were looking at. Remember the rules here. If we are trading DGen levels, we are trading DGen DGen time frames. We're looking at oscillator reversals on 1 hour, oscillator reversals on 2 hour, oscillator reversal on 15 minutes, and you're tying them in to key reaction zones. Okay, so that is the game I played on Popcat. You can see this thing is going nicely now. My average entry is 265, and that is looking good. Then virtual. Now that was a trade I gave today in Chart Hackers. This thing is nice and green, so the Chart Hackers members got the signal from us, and I'm trading virtual on 𝗬𝗥𝗓 at the moment with Popcat. Okay, another great degen exchange, and I've been trading this exchange obviously for ages, and we need to give it a little bit of love here. So here is 𝗬𝗥𝗓. I got virtual cooking, and hopefully that was the low. We don't have to add more to the trade, but we're going to see how this now plays out. So Popcat's doing nicely. Let's take a look at virtual, and just to give you guys an idea as to why we like this virtual trade, why this was a potential banger for us. Well, a couple of things. Most importantly, we dropped into our 200-day MA for the second time, and this was our wick fill. So we filled that wick now. Nice move to the downside. That wick is now confirmed. It's full. Then we've got the daily oscillator that is starting to turn a little bit more bullish. It's starting to reverse a little bit for us. What else do we have? We've got a macro 786 fib in that region. So we understand we've got a combination of, a couple of elements here that gave us confluence that said, hang on, even worst case, we're going to get some kind of reaction out of virtual, and that is what we've got now. We've got some kind of reaction out of it. If it's going to run higher, that's great, but right now at least the trade is starting to move, and we can now make decisions accordingly. We can raise stops, and we can de-risk and do all these types of things. But so far so good on virtual. That is moving nicely. Now what do you do if virtual loses key levels? Now the problem for me is these candles here don't look amazing until virtual gets back down to 0.6 to 0.55. So that is the concern for me down there. Okay, so if we lose the 200-day MA on virtual and we close below, I think it starts the journey to 0.6, 0.55. So just be careful with that. If you're trading virtual and you're looking for things here, you're looking for action, be very cautious there. And in terms of entries, what I would suggest here, if we get a sell-off in the market, buy on weakness, buy as deep as you can at that 200-day MA. So if the market gives you another pullback there, there's a chance that it's a short-term pullback, and then we get a bounce. Obviously, there's a chance Bitcoin loses major levels and we start losing that 200-day MA, and then all bets are off. So right now, your main support is 1.04, and you can also use 1.09 as potential support there. Close under those levels, then there's a problem. And virtual insanity long. And what is Fox liquidated? Don't be like me. Join Chart Hackers. Is he not in Chart Hackers? Join Chart Hackers, bro. Come hang out with us. Okay. So in terms of virtual targets, now if you're jumping in now, you're putting yourself at a little bit of a disadvantage because this trade is run. So you typically want to buy on weakness. Remember that it's 9% back down to that 200-day MA. But in terms of targets for virtual, 1.39, 1.61, 1.89. Those are the best looking targets for me on virtual. And if once there is momentum, obviously this thing can really start moving, but this AI agent narrative needs to come back, and they need to wake up. So I think the AI agent narrative went for a snooze, and just like some of the meme coin narratives, that also went for a bit of a hike, and hopefully we get it back. Let's see if my oscillator loads. Did you by any chance look at virtual? Do you have it anyway?
I haven't got it loaded, but I did take the trade this morning. Thank you very much for that one.
Okay, so look, virtual is running. I don't know why they're not loading my thing here. Okay, so virtual's running. It looks good on the daily. It looks okay on the 12-hour. And watch that 200-day MA, guys. That's the big one. If we lose that, you close under that, this trade is off. It's going to get rinsed. Okay, so keep it as simple as possible. Then let's talk poppies. And I wanted to give you guys another degen zone. Okay, so yesterday we saw a sell-off onto key levels. And now I want to go back in history here for you guys. But essentially, it was something like that. And we had our 0.5. I think it was our 0.5. It was one of our levels here. Yeah, it was our 0.5 yesterday. Okay, so we dropped into the 0.5. At the same time, we were signaling reversals on the oscillator. You can see on the downside here, that oscillator looking like it wanted to reverse there. And that is why we got that move. So Popcat, nice. Okay, now what we can see is happening. We've got our 1 hour turning bearish. Look at that. We've got a reversal. So this tells us we might get some downside now on Popcat. So how do we play the game? We can rinse and repeat the same strategy as yesterday, especially for the scalpers and the degens. What you're looking for is a nice reset on the oscillator at the lows. So be patient, let it come down for you. And then you want to tie that reset with one of your big levels. So for me, the big ones are 0286, watch that, and then watch 0255. If you get that 1 hour reversal on one of those zones, that is going to be your big move then on PopCat. That's going to be your next bounce. Now you can see PopCat's been behaving quite nicely lately. There was a 31% bounce off those lows. And I mean, just the other day, we had another recovery bounce there of 57%. Okay, so PopCat 286, 255. Tie it in with your reset oscillator there. Let that thing reset. Let it tell you it's going to reverse. Don't jump the gun. Don't shoot your shot too early. Let it come to you. Play the game, okay? Play it safely, and then you can get stuck in. Adam says virtual is sketchy. Yeah, I mean, these AI agents, they were building tons on it, and now it's slowed down, okay? And it's messy. There could be a squeeze. There could be some action there. Okay, so guys, that's PopCat. This chart will be in Chart Hackers for you guys. Another one for us, Fartcoin, okay? Again, had a trade, okay? We traded Fartcoin last night in Hackers on the Zoom. I took a trade on 5X. Remember the rules with Fartcoin, PopCat, those types of things. Small position, big move, low leverage. That has to be your rule. Okay, and because these things are so volatile that you don't know which level it's going to bounce. But what we did pick up last night was our 1 hour oscillator was looking to reset as well. Okay, so that was looking quite decent at the time, and you got to time that in with your various levels. So last night we had this all mapped out, and there was a nice level here for Fartcoin, and there was a nice level there. Okay, so I started the trade up there. Okay, based on the 1 hour looking to reverse, we let this thing drift lower on 5X. Okay, no pressure trade. Let it drift lower into your next zone and reversal, bang. Okay, simple. And yes, it is I8 Legend. And unfortunately, I closed Fartcoin somewhere here at 58. And then I had to watch in dismay as this thing carried on ripping today. Okay, so it did hurt my feelings. But in terms of reloading, if you guys want some more farts and you're looking for some action, what you need to do, play the game again. Look for the reset on the oscillator. Here's my oscillator turning over. We want this oscillator to reset. We're going to keep it so simple here. Look for the reversal print. When you're getting that reversal print at the lows, you want to tie it into some kind of major support, or not major, minor support. Okay, for example, this guy, 598. That's zone number one. Another one, 57. Okay, that's another one. And then there's a banger down here, 543. Those are your levels. So let them play out. Let it come to you. Let it drift lower. Don't shoot your shot too early. Try and keep it to the 1 hour. If you're an absolute filthy animal, maybe 15 minutes, but always keep your eye on that 1 hour. That 1 hour will give you a guide for the DGen setups. Shall we talk Doge? Shall we talk Doge?
Absolutely. I've got that one.
Mark says Bang has been replaced with Ripper. I concur. Dylan, do you know how less are the likes? Only comments are stinking. Likes are farting. Guys, come on. If you enjoy the content, hit the like, hit the bell. Look, toilet humor is not for everybody. Okay. Are we talking Doge? Pro Hassan says Doge is dead. Let's talk Doge quickly because there is a little bit going on here. I mean, I am stretching it a bit by linking Elon Musk's Doge may have found fraud in treasuries. We're now linking it to Dogecoin. Okay, I mean we are getting a little bit desperados here, but let's look at the Dogecoin. Okay, let's look at it at the moment. I know Chaos has got a setup, so talk to me about this thing. Are we long? Are we short? Is it going to zero? What do we want?
Probably at some point going to zero, but I do have a long in play, and I've actually already entered this thing. So obviously we've got some bullish divergence present. We are also in a downtrend, excuse me, back from November. So there was a great sell, which paid us beautifully. What I'm looking for is the reversal here. So, sorry, just another bounce off this trend line, essentially. We've obviously got some hot zones here of support where I need to go right the way back, so I can't show you those. But literally, I'm looking for a bounce here. My TP1 will be up here at this level around 30 cents. My entry is going to be between 23 and 24, so somewhere just off this line. And then, to be honest with you, stop loss somewhere below the trend. I haven't set a figure yet. I'm going to watch this candle by candle. But on the daily, this short played out really nicely. It's obviously tired. We're getting to the point where cash flow has neutralized and it's starting to go positive by the looks of it. We've got our RSI, which has come right the way down. We've gone from that very deep red to a lighter red, and obviously after a lighter red, we go green. So I'm really looking to catch the next move up. My first TP is going to be around 30 cents. And then after that, we'll play level by level up to 34.
So you in this already?
I am in this already. I actually hopped in somewhere at the bottom of this week. So I'm slightly... Actually, I'm virtually at zero. I've made nothing really on it yet. I was hoping that this would be the bounce. In reality, this may be the bounce here. So it might be that the guys that are watching this later on get a slightly better entry than I've got. But this is, you know, this is very telling. We're facing up. The colour's changed. I want to see this change. This is very early. If we get another green pump, I mean, look, last time we turned green was here, Dill. And through this move, I mean, look at this for an absolute monster of a move.
I like that you watch this cash flow a lot. I really like
the
this,
cash flow's huge. That's a 260% move there. Now, you know, can it do it again? Probably. It's Dogecoin, right?
Yeah, it can. Okay, guys, I got one more setup I'm watching for you guys. Okay, one more. I started climbing into some Peppy yesterday. Okay, okay. I got one more setup you guys must watch. Okay, there it is. I've been loading this thing up. I'm waiting for this thing to do a couple of magic tricks for us, and one of them is pop major resistance. Okay, so here's Peppy on the degen side of things, 1 hour, and you can see what's going on. It's putting a ton of pressure onto this major horizontal. Okay, and when we get, or if we get a pop of this big area, I'm looking to add and grow the size of that position as long as we can hold the pullback. Now, that is where the bull's going to step in, and that is the way you got to take on that risk. So, you know, once you get a break of a horizontal, you need to rely on the bulls to actually come to the party and buy it. And generally what happens is you'll get some kind of sweep back into that zone and then some kind of pump. If it's going to be a real breakout, they're going to come and buy it. And that is basically where you're going to want to add to that position or potentially look for some longs there on Peppy. So you can see what happened yesterday. We had a nice sell-off. Now we've had a nice bump. And we are looking at a squeeze into horizontal. What is in the way here? Quantum reactor, VWAP, horizontals. There's a lot going on in the way. If we break this thing, there is going to be a little bit of fun. But what do we do if we don't? What do we do if there's a rejection? So then you got to start looking again. You got to look at a few areas that are a little bit lower. So in terms of that, you're going to just drag your fibs from the lows to the highs. And you want to just pull out a 382 and a 618, and you want to just highlight these types of areas here. So, wait, I closed the wrong one. Hold on. You're going to get that out, okay? And you're going to start looking at potential medium-sized dips, okay, into 938. That's a zone now. And then 902. That's a zone. So if you get a reasonable dip in the market, those are your areas where you're looking to buy again. Okay, so 937, 938, 902. Look for those areas. If we do get a pop here, guys, that is where I want to start adding to this position. We really need the bulls to step back in there at around 9.7. Okay, so that's the game plan. This chart will be in Chart Hackers for you. And okay, so Bitfunded, guys, you know what to do. You emailing giveaways at Crypto Banter, the two of you. It was Lauren and it was what was the other one?
Right, was it Ryan? I've forgotten his name.
Ryan.
Yeah, it was Ryan.
Lauren and Ryan. Okay, those are coming your way. Give it a few days, but drop your mail. James, thank you, sir. Chaos,
Okay.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You can find these legends in Chart Hackers as usual. Guys, yeah, big week ahead. Let's be safe. I like where Bitcoin is. I want to see that pop of 99K. If we get that, I think these alts are going to rip. I think they're going to start moving very nicely. So I'm watching this Bitcoin very closely. You can see I'm starting to get into a couple of long positions here just in case there is action. I want to be just ahead of the curve there if we start breaking levels, because then we can add aggressively and start pushing. So sniffing around, okay? We're sniffing around. We're looking for the pops there. The dailies look nice. Short term, 1 hour, 2 hour, maybe a little bit down. Okay, so just be careful. We'll see you guys tomorrow, same place. Later.